Right, good morning. My name's Andrew Talbot, and I'm going to take you through what is user-generated content. So, often known as UGC, user-generated content, and here's the techie bit, is defined as any form of content created by a user of an online system or service, often made available by social media. It's also often called UCC, which is user-created content. Now, the interesting thing about user-generated content is it does apply to more than just our industry, personalized products. People are generating more and more content everywhere on the web. You know, Facebook, for that matter, you're generating content that you're reading. Nobody centrally is generating. So user-generating content is a very popular thing. And what we're talking about doing this morning is how you're using that to create products. And I guess a good starting point is who's made user-generated content popular. There are millions of products every day all around the world sold. Some of the names on the screen now you may or may not have heard of, but certainly after this webinar, go and check out the sites for these people. They're all doing, millions of pounds worth of turnover with user-generated content. So, who uses user-generated content? Who is going to go on to your website and make their own products that they want to sell? Which is in essence what we're talking about here. So very popular is artists. So you saw on the last slide, people like Society6, Redbubble, Fine Art America. There are lots of sites taking advantage of that because artists obviously create great content, depending on your taste, but obviously different artists create all sorts of interesting content. And nowadays that content can be applied to more than just a canvas or a print, greetings cards, cushions, and we'll talk about product types in a minute. You've got graphic designers. So people who have a design skill can create interesting things on their computer and then create their own ranges of products. So both these categories of people are very interested about creating content and selling it through an appropriate platform. And photographers fit into that zone as well. Obviously great photography sells, and it's just more than just one canvas for it nowadays. And then you start to expand out. Small clubs and organizations like to create their own content. I'm listing fundraising later on the list. But for fundraising or just showing your membership, brands love user-generated content. Now, big brands often, employ design agencies, buy promotional products. But even a small brand, companies, you can create their own content now. So, it's an interesting thing. We're doing it with Custom Gateway because obviously we're in this business, creating lots of our own content. Whether we're at a stage where we'd want to sell Custom Gateway content, potentially in the future. Obviously, businesses, there's no reason why businesses can't go on and create their own content. We've all seen crossover brands, like Caterpillar, who make diggers selling boots or clothing. So it's quite possible. Again, there's a whole industry out there for, characters and licensing. But nowadays, brands, and if you look at those big sites we talked about earlier, these guys, most of those sites will have licensed content on where, brands have created, or these sites have gone and created the content for them. Fundraising, a big one. Again, jumping back, there's a whole £1 billion industry in the US and a growing one in the UK and Europe for where people create their own content, sell it to their supporters, and that becomes that. Marketeers are using it, in the promotional world. They're getting people now to create, their customers. Coke have done it. Heinz Soup have done it. Plenty of other people have done it. So ultimately, anybody. I even had my kids drawing pictures the other day, which they then turned into products, and they loved that concept. So it's exciting. So what are the benefits of user-generated content? Well, obviously, one of the key ones is when you've created something, you want to share it. So it's a free way of attracting traffic too. In this world where, pay-per-click is increasingly expensive, if you have hundreds of people coming on your site, creating their own products and sharing them with friends, you'll generate traffic. And obviously, once people are used to your site and they find interesting content, they'll go there. The other advantage is it allows artists, designers, and the other groups we've just talked about to put together a range of products without the expense of creating their own site. So all of the sites we've just looked at, anybody can go on, upload their products, and have their own shop at no cost to them. There's no buying stock. There's no design because we offer online tools to do things. So it's a great way of doing stuff. It also allows you to add a lot of extra content to your website as a website owner without incurring the cost. And if you automate it fully, which we'll talk about in a minute, it's a really easy way of doing things. So that's the benefits, fairly compelling. How to create it. So there are a few different options. I'm going to show you 3 now. So you can add a save button to a product on a website so people can create the product themselves. If you do a little bit more clever work, you can then link that up so it, gets vetted and published automatically. You could use an upload folder, so designers can just upload designs of a certain size and then you create it for them, or you can stick an app on Facebook. So let's first of all look at a simple example. So here's a product. I've just done a 3D one, and I can add an image or text to this particular product, from a variety of different sources. By choosing, in this case, some strawberries, it uploads the strawberries and puts them on this product. Now, obviously, that isn't a design that's going to sell. I'm not a person, perhaps, that should be using user-generated content. But when I hit that save button there now, instead of adding to cart like it normally does on the site, that would save the product and put it in the back end of the website for sign-off. So in simple terms, and this screen can be designed any way you want. So that's the easiest way to allow an artist or designer to add to your products. And if we take this into a little bit more detail now. So this is an example website we've created, not quite as big as the Zazzles and the Cafe Press of this world, but actually has all the same functionality. So in this case, people can go in, choose from a range of products, and we'll talk about products in a bit. I'll just stick with the phone case for now. They could select a background color for their product, sort of simple design stuff. And then they could add or edit an image on that product. So, if I went into this product now and said, right, let's add that image, and I add the image to the product. In this case, that's pretty topical. Remembrance Day has just gone by. So we've got poppies, so that doesn't quite work there in that font. So we, might change the font style. Looks a bit big for me, so let's just drop it down a notch or 2. Pop it up there. Black doesn't really work. So it's the normal design tool, if you like, that we've got. And then normally when you're using our tools online, you'd go add to cart and buy that product. But in this case, we've just modified the save button and called it add to shop. So if we click add to shop now, that would ask the user to log on, ask them if they've already got a shop, and just go through a simple registration process. You clearly don't want people just creating products and dumping them on your site without any kind of checking, as people could stick inappropriate content on a platform you're managing, which would leave you liable. But there's no need for it to be more than a few minutes. So you can see here how we've used the design tool and we can add to cart. The other way we can do things is we've got an option here now where in the back end of our software, if people uploaded images of the right size, you can simply go along, say add. And on here we have a drop-down menu. And we have various choices. So on here where it says with selected, create new, print on demand. I click that button. It says, where would you like to save it? So if I was a customer, I'd only have one place to save it. And here, it then lets me go into my gallery again, perhaps choose my fruit image here. And I can give that a name, which it will use on the product. So call it fruit design. And when I hit that create POD product button now, it will automatically apply that image to any number of products. So it could actually be 100 different products at once. And that's a back-end process when people have uploaded it in the right size. With a bit of development, you could add that into the front end too. But based on our comments of earlier, you don't want to do the live publishing, if that makes sense. So hopefully, and a Facebook app is similar to the Save thing, but embedded into a Facebook page. So you could have a competition online, let people create products on Facebook, and then auto-publish them onto the website once you've vetted them. So there are 3 easy ways that you can actually create the content. And I'm kind of overviewing it for you there. I've split them into front-end tools. I'm happy to share this presentation afterwards if you want to email through. There's no problem. Or if you go and check out our blog, it is published on our blog on the website, just under UGC, user-generated content. That's the back-end tool. So that shows you an owl image that I uploaded to 3 different products. So the next question really is what product groups? And there's a little graphic there of a website that was using this technology, and they just explain what sizes they want people to upload the images in, and then they were creating the products using the print on demand tool. But the beauty nowadays is we're no longer sitting in this is just a mug or a keyring or a coaster or a t-shirt, what I call the traditional good sellers. You've got loads of extra categories now that you can use. So wall art, because of its nature, it's probably the most popular growing category. But the one that really interests me a lot is home decor, because you can have curtains, bean bags, bedspreads, and cushions are probably one of the best-selling UGC products at the moment going. So as technology has improved to print things, you can create, so it would be easy for a young designer to create their own home decor range, right through to wallpaper now. So it's become more than just, stick it on a coaster kind of thing. This is a whole way of publishing products, getting rid of a whole part of the industry, getting straight to the user. So in essence, a designer can create a product and get it manufactured direct, no stock, no cost, and launch ranges. So I can see in the future, a bit like a crowdfunding concept, it's an easy way for people to get businesses off the ground. Gifting is very popular. I used the example earlier of my children creating a picture so they could go on greetings cards, which fits into the stationery, or just personalised gifts for people, and even food and drink now. In essence, I would probably challenge any of you. You name it, we can probably give you a supplier that's personalising it in a batch of 1. So that's kind of where the market's going. So hopefully that was a 15-minute whistle-stop tour of the world of user-generated content. If you want to get involved in this world, it's not too expensive. Your starting point could be you could go on to a Zazzle type website, hit the create button on there, and there's all the products they create. Or you could add, with our technology, this sort of functionality to your own website. So it's kind of an easy way to get started. Ask yourself, do you know, or have you got, we went through the user groups earlier, do you know the potential users who would create some content? And how would they be created? Is it easier for you to start with, just to give them the instructions, like we said here, create images in this size and use the print on demand tool to create the products? Or is it easier to invest a little bit and add our technology to the front end of your site to allow your customer to create? You need to make those choices. If you want to read more on this sort of topic, if you go onto our Gateway, I've got Gateway 3D, it's obviously Content Gateway now, but either works, and type in white paper into the search, you'll find a whole lot of interesting papers to read up. And we have a team of people we call the explainers here at Custom Gateway. So just ring in and ask to talk to an explainer, or email explainers at Custom Gateway, custom-gateway.co.uk. personalised.co.uk, and we'll respond there. So hopefully you found it an interesting webinar, and we look forward to speaking to you again.